All right, we're going to go into wet weather treatment. It's a review of the wet weather treatment. How many people have here have actually had the luxury of pushing the button or being involved with the wet weather treatment event?
Joe did it.
Yeah, dude, yep, I remember that.
Okay,
Jack did
you're in
it.
charge then.
Okay.
You come in between, I'm on it.
Probably for the first couple.
How many people have moused through the screens, and are familiar with the screens? Very good, okay. Imagine there's a few more, you don't have to be shy, but, okay. Well, in case you don't know, wet weather treatment allows primary effluent flows above 80 mgd. This is above 80 mgd to bypass secondary treatment to enter the wet weather discharge bypass channel. It's usually initiated around 50.
Well, the reason it says that in that bullet is because when the phase 2 upgrades are finished and we have 4 aeration tanks and 8 final clarifiers, we're not supposed to use the blend until our flows go over 80.
Okay.
But the high flow management report is written precisely so the regulators clue in to, we can't go by that standard until we're done with construction.
Okay. Actually, another bullet to clarify that. As part of the treatment, the wet weather discharge is chlorinated. Flows measured in a 72-inch Palmer bolus flume. And then the wet weather discharge is dechlorinated just prior to discharge. Chlorine residual, obviously LACO, is going to be measured by the residual analyzer that's located out in the sample building. And wet weather discharge is sampled by the wet weather discharge sampler, also located out in that building. And I have a schematic of wet weather discharge. It's a little easy to see, but basically you got 2 gates here. You got hypochlorite being introduced between the 2 gates, which we refer to as the bathtub. Somehow got that name. And you got your bisulfite being introduced just prior to sampling. And your sample pump right here. Okay. It overflows to the, it goes to the sample, like still well. It overflows back to the channel. And there's your discharge point out. Let's see, this Palmer bolus flumes right here. See the flow measurement right after you've hit it with the hypochlorite disinfection that's gone through the second gate. It's 1900 and 1910 are the 2 gates. Probably seen it out there. Yeah. All right, wet weather discharge. It's operator initiated from the operator workstation, and the operator is going to enter the MGD for the wet weather discharge and the chlorine dose in milligrams per liter. You're in the automatic mode. It's now initiated automatically. Everything's all set up to run automatic. Your sodium hypochlorite pump's going to start. The mode of water is going to be at about 100 gallons per minute, about 41 psig. That could vary a little. And the sodium hypochlorite pump's going to be pasted on the wet weather discharge flow ratio controller. Sodium bisulfite pump's going to start after a predetermined delay. And that mode of water, again, it's going to be around 100 gallons a minute at about 33 psig, thereabouts. And that's also paced on a wet weather discharge flow ratio controller. Primary settling tank effluent gate, side gate 1900 opens after a set period of time to the adjustable set point. 1910 is going to modulate in response to the wet weather discharge flow set point. That's based on the feedback from the Palmer bolus flume, what the flow is going through there. And the wet weather sampler will operate in response to wet weather discharge flow from the Palmer bolus flume. It's a pretty straight up system. So you got some pictures here. Unless you guys, anybody want to go out for the walk? You know. Okay. You got pictures here of the local controls. There's for the gate. You can manually override that if you have to. The clutching mechanism, you can do it by hand. I don't think anybody really wants to.
So this is 1900, so this one's right next to PST 7, at the end of PST 7.
Yes, and this is early in construction, so still a lot of dirt and stuff out there. You're going to make sure that that's in remote, so it can be operated from the operator workstation. There's your sodium hypochlorite feed. One of the motive water rotometers there. It's dedicated to wet weather discharge, the application point, and the adjacent pictures, picture of the hypochlorite pump, you get two of them there. The number 3, 4, I think 2 could even be used as well as I go through this.
Make sure the bypass valve is shut.
Right.
Oh, very good. Who said that? Awesome, awesome. All right, yes. Very good point. You got a bypass valve around this, you wanna make sure that that is shut. That's also in, the O&M section, we put that in there. We changed it, because at one point that was open and flowing around, and what it was doing, it was causing pressure, higher pressure to be sensed, and it was causing the pump not to start. Okay, just enough pressure with that, being, not going through the rotor to lose, to have a head loss on it, okay?
Why would the bypass be open?
Very good question. The reason why it was open is
Who knows
because-
why it's open?
Yeah, how about you guys
I'll
answer
tell
that?
you, cold out, so it doesn't freeze up.
Very good, yeah.
So why'd you ask?
All right, here's the diffuser. This is a picture that was taken before they got all the covers out there to show the water shooting into, the motive water, how it shoots into the incoming stream there.
And you can kind of see that if you're standing at that gate 1900,
Yeah.
because they still haven't finished the covers last time I was out there, you could look right in there, you can see that diffuser pipe.
Yeah, this part's been finished since that's been put on there.
Your street
And you
covers.
have a little air relief valve right there too. If that's not working good, you could get air in the line. Okay, so that's something to look at if you have a problem. One of the things we were looking at, right? Yeah, it was fun. Okay, now here's at the other end, 1910. This one wants to modulate response to Palmer bolus. You can also override this, and I don't know how the heck you want to operate that manually. That would be
That's a
the same.
sluice gate, not a slide gate, actually.
It's a sluice
Big
gate,
heavy
yeah.
sluice gate.
Yeah. I don't think you wanna be out there trying to modulate that in response to flow, so it does the automatic thing. If you had to, actually operate it though, you could declutch it and run it by hand. And you can also control it locally, and again, you should be in the remote position, so it's controlled from the operator's workstation. Alright,
Excuse me, during the power loss,
Yep.
you have to operate the big hand wheel?
Yes.
It's not hooked up to the big one?
The only thing that's on the generator is the sample shack and the flow. The gates are not on the generator.
Can you put a gate operator on it? Take the wheel off, put a gate operator on it?
I like that idea, that's good.
Then again, if you do, where you gonna get power?
I have no power.
So maybe standing out there in a generator.
Cold generator.
All right, so the flow pace in the hypochlorite and bisulfite feed is going to be occurring off of the Palmer bolus signal, and the wet weather discharge sample pump will start 30 seconds after flow is established, as seen from the Palmer bolus. All right, just a little background. This guy Harold Palmer and Fred Bolus of the Los Angeles County Sanitation District developed this during the mid-1930s. It measures flow in sewer pipelines and open round channels. And here's a little pictorial of what the Palmer bolus flume looks like. Basically, I go out and look in the gate, you get a better idea, look down the grading. But what it does is it restricts the flow through the flume through the use of a trapezoidal throat section, and that's the preferred design for round open channels and pipelines, as the shape has the least constriction through the flow area of other flumes, and generally has a lower head loss. So it's chosen for that specifically that it has a lower head loss. What kind of flume do you have in the influent coming into the plant? Yep. Partial flume. But they chose the Palmer bolus because of this, the lower head loss for this application. Okay, then we have a picture of the sodium bisulfite feed. And again, this is another one you want to make sure the bypass valve is closed. So if you're getting ready to set up for wet weather discharge, one of the things you are going to do is, if you, especially in the winter, if you know that it's bypassed, make certain, as you're setting up to do this, what we've done for each event, we've always gone down and confirmed that the pumps were running. Even though you can see it from the operator's workstation, it's good to, at the initiation of the event, just before it's getting initiated, you make sure that valve's shut and everything's set up. The pumps are valved for the application point, because they may have been used for another application point, and they're ready to go. Okay, that's probably the most time-consuming part of the event. Once that's set up and flow's established and you're pumping chemical, you're pretty much home free. Then you're dealing with going out to the sample shed, and, there's the coliform samples that, have been getting taken. It's usually the lab would be doing it, Carla, on that, have you determined?
I don't know, I mean, it probably depends on when it happens. If it happens at a time when there's nobody from the lab available, I'm probably gonna be taking samples and putting them in the cooler form. and
Yeah,
having
one
them-
of the things
and then
we
ca-
have-
And then having them come in, I guess.
Yeah, one of the things we have is that in the ONM manual, that in anticipation of a high flow event, where you're gonna be initiating wet weather discharge, that you're gonna have all the sampling equipment already set up and available. So if it does happen, like in the evening shift. Things that we brought down there is obviously the sampling equipment for the coliform samples, and then you're gonna have your hot kit to just, do a couple of cross checks against the chlorine analyzer, just to make sure everything's copacetic there. And that's simple enough, because that you can just dip from the stilling well adjacent to the instrument itself. The coliform sample is, you're gonna be out there at the actual discharge with your bucket getting a sample, so you can be out of the water. Okay, this is what the bisulfite diffuser looks like when it's, shooting water into the wet weather discharge. And you have the wet weather discharge sampler and chlorine analyzer intake and discharge, and right over here, you can see that, not too well. And you have the wet weather sampling building, and inside there on the left, you have, it's like a stilling well for the chlorine residual analyzer up in the back wall to the left of the window. You have a sample pump switch, which that sample pump should be in auto. That way you can start and stop it from the operator's workstation, okay? When you do a little troubleshooting, you can put it into hand and operate it there. Start and stop it from locally from the control there at the pump. That pump's a self-priming centrifugal pump. The last event it did perform. We did have an issue with it though, the previous two events, because there was some construction debris in the ball check that was preventing it from priming. So the jury was out on it, still is a little bit, keeping an eye on that. You have your sampler up on the right-hand side, it's blue, and you got your sampler refrigerator. That's pretty much it. There's the analyzer and the local readout. You received that as well on your operator workstation and through SCADA. All right. Anybody here familiar with the screen? Anyways, this is the main screen right here. You have both of the gates. You can see that these are both on the remote, and the reading is being closed right now. That's what you want. You want the remote so they can respond to the activation of the system by pressing the start button, so to say. You see right now, the flow indicating transmitter of the Palmer bolus is reading 0. And you can see the status of the sample pump. It should be in remote so that you can start it from the operator workstation. There's a flow detection switch on that as well. And you'll notice below there's a little solenoid valve screen. Routinely that's going to send plant water up through the line to go up into the stilling well where the chlorine residual analyzer is located to keep the probe wet. Otherwise it's going to dry out on you. And that probe's got to be routinely maintained, calibrated so that it's accurate for and ideally I would have that checked prior to an event if it hasn't been checked recently, just to make sure everything's ready to go. And you can also see the pictorial showing like where the hypochlorite and bisulfite injected into the line. All right, here's wet weather discharge. Does anybody know where the main button is to get things started once everything's all set up in remote? What do you do to make it happen? Discharge. Right there, discharge, exactly. Wet weather discharge, automatic set of control. This is the big button, and that's what's going to initiate the operation once everything's set up to operate in automatic. You have the hypochlorite pumps. You want to make sure that those are all in automatic. You got the ability to run them manual, but you want them to run automatic so that they're paced off of what? Palmer bolus fluid. And up there, yes, it's 2, 3, and 4 can be used for wet weather discharge and hypochlorite pumps. And down at the bottom for bisulfites, it's 2 and 3 that can be used for wet weather discharge and dechlorination. What you're gonna enter in here is, alright, at the bottom you got, the speed set points that you can put in, if you have to, and on the slide gates, you have, those should be an automatic as well. You got slide gate 1910 right there, and that sluice gate 1900. Yeah.
Other way around, but that's okay.
Okay. You have some delay timers, and those have been set already, and those shouldn't have to be messed with because they seem to be working all right as far as the amount of delay that's set in them.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else I'm missing on this screen. Anybody have any comments on this?
One of the things that you might wanna be aware of is, we run this thing 3 times and fiddled around with the set points, so when you first hit the discharge button, there's no flow detected in the polymer bolus, right? So the pumps don't know what speed to be at, so they're already programmed to go to like, something like 20%.
Oh, right.
And they
yeah.
ride out at 20% until after flow is detected in the flume, and so they go for a while before they start responding to the flow. They kind of have a start point, just to get them out of it, because otherwise they don't know what to do.
Exactly, yeah, it's, the other thing too is, it does make sense, cause then you're getting the first flush coming through there as well, so, better to have them set at a higher point to begin with.
Yeah, I think we did that with the slide gate even too, is it initially goes to a low flow, it's like 5 or something.
Right.
MGD before, and then after that, you can go to your thing and say, no, I want it to just to bypass 15, and it'll open up some more, but it's got a bunch of initial set points that you'll see sooner than later, probably when we start running this thing, you actually, like, spend some time with it.
Right, you'll start, once this flow is established through there, it becomes pretty stable then.
Is that flow gonna be, established by how, we only want, say, 50 going through our plant? It's gonna take what the flow is and subtract that and put that out there automatically?
It'll feedback based, it'll modulate that gate so that the polymer bolus is going to allow that amount to go through.
The
So
difference
as-
between
Exactly.
The
what,
amount you tell it.
The
You
amount-
have to
yeah,
make
the
it-
amount you tell it to
You
bypass.
have to, no, the amount you
Yeah.
tell it.
so you have to be on top of that, changing the
Right,
process.
because as the flow comes down, you're gonna wanna
Right.
readjust it to
Then you
modulate.
should around outside, look around, run back inside, run outside.
No, binoculars.
Binoculars, okay.
So what you gonna do?
You have a constant flow feedback coming from the polymer bolus, and you're also seeing what your influent flow is, and that's a good question. You're initially gonna tell, here's how much I want it to flow. Polymer bolus flume's gonna, modulate, the gate's gonna modulate, and the polymer bolus flume's gonna confirm whether it's getting that flow right or not. And eventually, the gate's gonna hit it,
It'll
and
just stay there.
it's gonna stay around here and keep that flow. Now, you're gonna be looking at your influent flow, and you're gonna say, hey, I'm gonna back down now.
Okay, so we have, that's a manual operation.
Yeah,
Change the set point.
change the set point.
Right, I'm saying, but you know how the flow works.
Yeah.
You gotta,
Coming up, so you're gonna have to keep
Right.
raising that, keep raising that, keep.
keep
That'd be a
changing
constant,
set points.
constant battle.
But you're also, during that time,
I thought that would, you would log in like 50 million we want going through our plant.
yep,
And anything different from that, when it goes to 60, it knows open to 10. If it goes to 70, it knows open to
no,
20.
I won't do that.
That would be the perfect
No,
setup.
because you gotta use your head about how much you, like, when
Plus
we
you gotta
when
monitor-
Jack,
But we
and
know how
Jack
much we
called
want
us
to
up
go
and
through the
said,
plant.
I need another 10. And
Yeah.
just the person in the control room just shot up another 10, and then he called us back and said, I need another, go up more.
Plus, you're gonna be monitoring the other equipment and make sure it's working as well. You know, you wanna make sure, keep an eye on your
So
chemicals.
it's pretty much a manual operation then, as far as that goes.
Once it gets to that respect, but it's only that
You're
aspect of
clicking
it.
it into the screen, that's all you're doing.
I mean,
I know,
if it was
but
purely
takes a human being
manual,
to sit there and pay
Right.
attention to it,
Yeah.
so it's not.
Job security.
That's
Yeah.
right, right.
if it was purely manual though, you'd have the guy out there flashing a couple, higher, lower, and you'd be out there getting soaked. So I mean, in that respect, that part's automatic. But in the respect that you're talking about, that's the part where you have to have the operator intervention.
One right there.
Yeah, because like you say, there's other variables too. If you see a crack going up down the river, you're gonna have to
Inside the building.
not take as much as you normally would, or whatever, like you say, working or whatever.
But as in any wet weather event, it ultimately comes down to you're making interpretations, because you're up there in the control room, you're making interpretations based on, you're looking at the weather screen, and you can say, yeah, I think this is gonna last still like another 3 hours, it should start.
We don't have a weather screen coming to these hills.
Well,
This brings it back to who even has control of this. So right now, only senior operators and assistant senior operators. You know, it's, so either one, if we don't have senior operators, a wet weather
Yeah.
thing going on, I wanna be up there. I mean,
I thought everything was supposed to be done for the command post down in the, bunker. I thought that's
we're
where we
doing it any way you want. But if
I don't
I'm a
have
senior
to do it.
operator and there's a weather event, I'm gonna stay up here where I have the information.
Ultimately, yes, ultimately, if you think about it, that's where everything's gonna be coming
Not
down.
relying on some side guys sitting on line 5 and telling me what to do.
The times that we've done this for testing, we've all had walkie-talkies.
Walkie-talkies.
Oh, yeah, big time, yeah.
You
We're
know?
running around our rain suits.
Walkie-talking the person over at the bunker and saying, do this, do that on the computer while we were in the sample shack.
If you know it's gonna rain, you have to go down and get everything set up first. It's not gonna be set up all the time, correct? You're not gonna have a
Because the valves
server.
are gonna be open to
Ideally-
the pumps and stuff.
Exactly, you're not, right, so you're talking,
Because the pumps are
Quite a
gonna
bit
be
of work
flushed
to get
out
ready
with
for this.
water. It took us, I
No,
don't
it
know,
doesn't take
half
that
an
long. Here's
hour.
the scoop. Let's say you know it's gonna rain in the
Once it's set
evening.
up, though, it's-
Go down there in the day
it's good to
shift,
go.
and you can pre-check and make sure everything's ready to run, okay? That, ideally do it before the storm starts.
you know, it's dry,
Yeah.
or,
Go down there, make sure all the valves are set, make sure, you can tell from the computer whether or not you're in remote or automatic, okay? But, you should just do a quick walkthrough to make sure everything's all set up, there's nothing wacky, the valves are set up in that. In all likelihood, if you're going through a rainy season already, if you're in a rainy season, you're gonna probably be keeping a hypo pump set up and a bisulfite pump already set up to go, Again, it's just based on, is it a rainy month or not, Then you're not gonna probably be messing with it as much. But like this winter, we only had when was it, December was the last one? So,
I think we had,
yeah, so you had to go out there and we had to make sure, because we didn't know if anything had changed.
yeah, because now, it's been like 3 weeks since the last time we ran it,
Yeah,
so
now we're getting snow out there,
everything's
so.